Hello everybody and welcome back to Creative Paper Studio. Today we are going to create a fun collage type journal card that is going to be done in what I'm going to call a grunge Victorian type of theme. I don't know how Victorian this really is, but it is definitely grunge and it is fun. So let's hop right into it today. So all I have done is taken a piece of craft cardstock here and I have cut it into a 5x7 card because the journal I'm working on that I want to put these into is quite a large journal. So the first thing we need to do, of course, is ink. And I do apologize if you guys really don't want to see the inking process and all that. But I am going to show pretty much all the steps. My ink is about dead, so I'm going to ink it a little bit here with the walnut stain. There's something on my ink pad. That's okay. So just a very light inking with the walnut stain. And then I'm going to take black soot and do a light inking of that around the edge as well. And the black soot I'm just putting on the very, very edge. Now obviously this isn't going to turn out exactly like the first one I made, but it will be similar. Okay, so my next thought was, well, I need something in the background and I need something to contrast with the dark brown. So I have my little box here of scraps that I keep. And I don't know if I have a piece big enough. Yeah, that's not quite tall enough. Have no fear, for I have more. So all I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take I'm going to put it on here and I'm going to tear it down. Now if it doesn't tear perfectly, I'm not going to worry about that because I don't want it to be perfect. But if it turns out a perfect tear, then it turns out a perfect tear. Okay, so I know I want this side torn as well because we don't want a straight edge. Now I'm going to place this on here, figure out how far over I want to go, which will go right here. And these bigger pieces like this that I'm tearing off, I'm putting into my little scrap box. These little pieces like this, I'm going to go ahead and toss. Okay. So I've got this piece that fits on here, like so. But it's a little too square for me. So I'm going to rip a piece out of the side there. Just like that. Now you can come back and do a little bit of ink on this if you want to. I didn't do too much of inking on mine, on this piece, but like I said, you can if you want. I'm just doing it on top of this because you're not going to be able to see it anyway because it's going to be covered. You can do a little bit of light inking over the top to get those wrinkles. Okay. Now, I am going to use my glue stick for this part, and I'm not going to go all the way to my edges. I'm just going to kind of do this number, get the majority of the center here. Oops. That's okay. We don't need that piece. And then I'm going to put it on here where I want it and smooth it down. Now the reason I didn't go all the way to my edges, if you can see on this one, I've curled up some of my corners here. So that's what we'll do on this one as well. So the next thing I thought is, well, okay, I've got my base now. So my next thought process is we need to make it a little bit more fun now. So that's where I came in with, well, what is neutral enough but has something on it? Music paper. Now I have this music paper that it's out of like an old Sunday school for children music book type thing. So I don't exactly want the names in my work. So I just choose an area that has, you know, the music part in it. And then I'm going to use my vintage photo for this part. My vintage photo seems to have more life in it than my walnut stain. I use the walnut stain all the time. I need to get a new one. Or a re-inker for it. So let's go back and just do a little touch up here with the walnut stain. I mean, with the vintage photo. Y'all knew what I meant. Give this paper a little bit of life. Okay. So this is where I put the one on my first one. We'll see if that's where I want this one. So then I came in and I'm like, well, it needs a little bit more fun. A little more layering. Little more layering. So let's get us a small piece of this. So I don't want this curled up edge. So I'm going to rip it this way. And I don't want it to be as tall as my thing. So we're going to rip that down. And I think I'm going to rip it about here. There's no rhyme or reason to how I'm ripping. I'm just ripping. Okay. And I think that's about good. I'm going to bring in a picture now. So I have these different pictures. I have some smaller ones. And then I've got some larger ones here. Kind of like her. Now I'm going to take this, and I'm going to take my corner rounder, and I'm going to round my corners on her. Why? Because I can. Okay. So set the rest of those aside. Now I know I want her down here in this corner, kind of like so. So I want to make sure that my brown paper is being seen, okay? So I think that's a pretty good placement. So I'm going to go ahead and glue down my music paper. And guys, you don't have to layer this just like I'm layering it. You can put your layers anywhere and do it however you want. I think I'm going to move my music paper up a little bit so that it's not perfectly center. And that's just my personal preference. I don't like things centered a lot of the time, especially when I'm layering a background. I like to off-center my things. That way it kind of brings your eye to it, if that makes sense. Here I'm just giving this a little bit of ink, and then I'm going to take my glue stick here and glue it down. Again, I'm going to, okay, that looks good. Before that takes complete hold, just make sure. Okay, yeah, I like how that's looking. Now over here is a little blank. There's nothing there. So I'm going to dig for something we haven't used yet. And that is some book page or something. So let me look in my scrap box over here. I do have some book page. So let's tear this down. These two bigger scraps I'm going to go ahead and throw back into my box because I can stamp on those. This one's kind of small, so. Okay. So I'm going to ink this up. Again, I've moved to using my vintage photo because my walnut stain doesn't have much life left. Okay. So this needs to be here. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down with my glue stick. And now when you put this on there, you're just going to be able to see the very edge of that. But it's enough that, you know, or I could bring her up a little more like so, and then you'll see that much of it, which I think I kind of like that better. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this to my sewing machine. And this is totally optional. You don't have to do this, but I like stitching on mine. So I'm going to ink around her. Then I'm going to do a straight stitch around this. And then I'm going to do a zigzag stitch slightly off of the edge of my card, and I'll do a zigzag stitch around her as well. And that's the same thing I've done on here. If you can see in my background here, you can see some stitching there, and then you can see the zigzag stitch there and zigzag stitch around my picture. So I'm going to go do the same exact thing to this one, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back now, and as you can see, I just did the zigzag stitching around the edge. I stitched around this piece, and then I stitched around my picture. So we know that our picture is going to go about here. So we've got this blank area here and this blank area here. And I was like, okay, well, I gotta have something to put in there. Well, I can do some script stamping. Or I can use some rub-ons. So that's what I chose to do. I chose to use some rub-ons. It doesn't matter what kind of rub-ons you use. I just liked these because they're numbers and they were black and they would go with my project. So, I apologize. This is probably going to shake the camera a little bit, or a lot of bit. But I'm going to put this right here in this corner. I'm trying to do it gently so I don't shake you guys a lot. So a rub-on is just that. You just take it and you rub it onto your project and then you peel the film back off of it. So now I kind of want something for up here like we did here. So you can see I have the rub-on in this area and then I have one here. So let's see here. What do we want? I'm thinking I want this. So we'll snip that little piece off. And then I'm going to cut straight down here. I love these rub-ons. The only thing that I'm not a huge fan of is that they are pretty close together. But if you use your little scissors, you can do it. Okay, so I'm going to stick this on here kind of at an angle. Give it a good rub, hence the name rub-ons. Okay, now I'm going to start from this side because this is an older book page and I don't want that to rip. So I'm going to lift from this side first. And that's not down all the way yet. Okay. So there we have that. And now, if I just put her on here, that's fine. You can do that. But I think she needs a little bit more play. So I need something on here kind of for movement. And I haven't used any fabric or lace yet. So this is where this is going to change up a little bit from my last one, because I'm not going to use the same laces and stuff that I used on my previous one. I might use some of the same stuff, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So I'm thinking to maybe put some of this vintage fabric that I have just down the side of her like that. And I really like that. So I want it to stick up some. I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac for this. I don't want it to go all the way down the picture. So we'll put it on like that. Now that's probably sticking up a little too far. So we'll come back in and trim that. Okay. I'm liking that, but it's not done. It needs more. Let's find some lace. So this is from a curtain that I have. And I'm just going to cut a strip of it off. Okay, I think that looks nice. Kind of frames her up a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. Again, I'm just using the Fabri-Tac. Okay. And now I think I'm going to glue her down. So since there's a little bit of fabric down there and here, I'm just going to go ahead and stick with my Fabri-Tac here. Now you could glue her on solid like I am, or you could just glue on 3 sides and make her a pocket if you wanted to. Okay. Now, I feel like she needs to be dressed up a little bit more. I know I'm going to put a label or a word or something down in this corner, so I feel like she needs something more up here. So, I'm going to go ahead and grab a little blending brush, and I'm going to give her a little bit more ink on her picture. Just make it look like it's dirty and been handled quite a bit and stuff. So now I need something here, and I think I'm gonna go in with a piece of this little lace. I think this little cotton lace would look cute there, but I'm just gonna do like a small piece of it because I don't want it to overtake, and I still want my fabric there to show through a little bit. But I do like this on there. So this is just my thought process and how I do it. And, you know, I kind of know how I'm going to do this one because I've done one, you know, before. And I kind of want it to be similar. But there are differences in it. Okay. So I like that. I think that's cute. If you wanted to, you could go ahead and bring some more into here, but I think that would be too much. So I'm just going to leave it the way it is. And now I'm going to find a phrase and a couple of words. Okay. I was looking for my drawer that had my phrases in it. Okay, so on this one, the picture kind of spoke to me, and, you know, it's this older couple. So it's like, oh, they've been together a really long time, and they look like they've enjoyed their lives together. So I found the word enjoy in time. And then I had this perfect phrase that talked about time as well. Time has a wonderful way of showing us what really matters. So I was like, oh, well, that's really cute. So I'm going to find a phrase down here. These are on top here. All these little phrases are about time, so. This one says, all we really have to decide is what to do with time that is given to us. And I like that. And it's kind of the shape I want it to be. So now I just kind of need a word for up here. So I have this little bin of words. We have inspiration. I want kind of something black that's going to pop. Happiest day. Travel. This isn't really a travel theme. What's this? Ever. Love, friends, beautiful. What do we got up here? Good. Perfect. I'm just trying to find the perfect word. Smile. Love. The word of. You. What's this one? Inspire. Journey. Okay. So let's make something out of this. I've taken long enough to find something. I don't really think it's travel. It's not things I love about you. It's not really ever. I'm kind of leaning towards inspire or journey. Because, you know, inspiration's a good one, but it's kind of big. I mean, it would work. I think it's going to be one of those three. Okay. So while I'm deciding on that, I'm going to trim this out. I cut this on my brother's Scan and Cut, and it left a little bit of a white border for me. Okay, so I'm just going to go lightly around the edge of this with a little bit of black to make it pop. Okay, and then I'm going to put it down here, but I don't want to put it straight down. I want to put something behind it. So let's see here. I thought I had some cheesecloth, and I do. I've got some of this brown cheesecloth. And I think I'm just going to place it there and then put this over the top of it. And because I don't have any glue underneath my cheesecloth, I'm going to go ahead and use my Fabri-Tac. And I'm going to put a good amount on here. I don't want like way too much, but you want a good amount so that it goes down through your cheesecloth. I'm going to press it down and hold it to let that glue seep down there. Okay. And now we need to figure out our word. I think I'm just going to go with journey, because this is saying all we really have to decide is what to do with the time that's given us. And the things that we do in our life and with our time is our journey, right? So I think it's fitting. I'm going to use my corner rounder here and just round these corners off. And then I'm going to come in with the black and cover any white edges that can be seen. And then I'm just going to glue this straight down like so above the picture. And this can be glued down with your art glitter glue, or you could use your Fabri-Tac. I would not use glue stick for this part. Journey. Okay, so I was looking at this when I was doing my first one, and I'm like, well, this is nice for a card, but we need something to pull it out with. So I got me a piece of craft card, and I cut myself a little tab. And this happens to be a whale tail tab. And I'm going to go around it with just a little bit of the black to make it pop. Okay, we're going to glue this on. I'm choosing to put it right here because down here you've got like your lace and stuff, and it's all pretty. And okay, so now that I have my tab on there, I'm looking at this and the tab looks a little blank. So I'm going to grab my rub-ons again, and I'm going to choose one. I think this will fit on there. Oh, I don't know where my little rubby thing went. Here it is. I found it. So, again, same thing. You're just gonna rub it on. I have one of these little plastic ones that came from the Paper Studio, but a regular popsicle stick will work. The end of your bone folder would work. The end of your brush or the end of your inking tool. You just need something that you can put pressure on it and rub it with. So that took off a little bit of the 7, but I'm not worried about it. So I like to add little dangles and stuff to mine, especially on my tabs. So I'm going to take my Crop-A-Dile and I'm going to put in an eyelet. I have all these different colors of eyelets, but I want to keep it neutral. So I've got kind of this brownish gray one, or I could go with this brown. And I think I'm going to go with the brown because it kind of makes this pop. Okay, so I'm going to give that a smush. A smoosh. Okay. And I wanted for my thing, I don't want, because this has kind of the old Victorian grungy kind of look going on with it. I didn't want to put like a shiny bulb pen or anything like that on here. And I didn't want to use like a silver charm or something, because I think it would just look out of place, right? So I got a piece of thread here. And this is just some twine that I think I picked up at Dollar Tree. And it's a decent weight. It's nice. It was only $1. So I'm going to take my ink here and my dauber and my string, and I'm just going to run my string through my ink a couple of times. Okay. And then I recently purchased some of these like rustic looking beads from somewhere. I got them off the Whatnot app. So I want to find one that's not like super big. Okay, I see a bit of a smaller one in here. Okay, let me just put these away. Okay, so I'm just going to put my bead on here. This can be the tricky part. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to feed my string through here. And then I'm just going to tie it. And I don't want it to hang down real far. And then, of course, I have quite a bit of extra here, so I'm just going to snip that off. And then there we have our little journaling card. Now, if you think that this is kind of plain here, which it kind of is, you could come back and add something to that. Let's see, what could I put there? This is some vintage German paper tape. I haven't used any of this yet. My friend sent it to me. But I just spotted it on my desk. It's sitting over there in the corner. So let's see if this will jazz it up, or if we like it. Maybe just the number part of it here we need. You know, I kind of like that. So I'm going to take my glue. And this is just a real light piece of paper, so I'm not going to use my Fabri-Tac. I'm just going to use my art glitter glue here. Line that up with my picture. Give it a nice press, let that glue take a hold. Okay, so I'm looking at this. I think it looks pretty good. I think if I were to put a button or something like that over here, it would mash too much with my bead that I have dangled off of here. And I think over here it wouldn't look right because obviously it's going to go in a pocket this way, so we don't want to put anything bulky over here. So I'm going to call this done. We can maybe come back in with a little more ink or something. But on my other one, as you guys saw, some of my corners were kind of rolled up. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to kind of roll this corner. I'm going to give it a little bit of ink. And that's really the only corner I have that I can roll, because this one's glued down and this one's underneath there. And so I think that looks pretty good. I am happy with the way it has turned out. Now there is stitching on the back, so if you don't want that stitching on the back, you can come in with a piece of coffee dyed paper and put over the back of this, or you could use some of the plain paper that we used in the background, or some of this craft colored paper that we used in the background, and put that over here. You could put some gesso on here if you wanted to, things like that. But I am happy with the way this has turned out. It matches, but isn't exactly the same as my other one. And I think they'll look great in the journal that I have made them for. So anyway, I thank you guys for being here today. If you would, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share my videos to get them out there and get me recognized. And leave a comment if you want to. So anyway, that is all I have for you guys today. I will see you all in the next video. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, do what you love, and keep it crafty. I'll see you guys later.